everyone! Today I'm going to be turning this Frankenstein doll into a sweets themed doll. Starting off with prepping her, I cut her hair down very close to the head. After I got the hair as short as it'll go, I take off the head and scrape out all the remaining plugs with a pair of pliers. After all the plugs and glue are out, I take off her face with acetone since I won't be changing her skin tone. Before I put her head back on, I paint her scalp with the color I'll be using for her hair. Then, once that's done, I just shove her head back on. Now for her face. As always, I paint the whites of her eyes in first, and I'm really sorry you can't see these first few layers. It's very close to what the actual face color is. And I've gotten ahead of myself now. What I should have done before I painted in the white of the eyes is blush her face. I used blue for this rather than red to match the skin tone a bit more. And afterward, I go in with a bit more paint over her eyes. I spent quite a bit of time blushing her face because I couldn't really get a good balance, but I eventually got there after a long time of wiping it off and then reapplying it over and over again. I painted her eyes purple. I had debated pink, but I figured there was already going to be quite a lot with the hair and what I planned to do with the clothes, so I went with purple because I figured it would match the best. After shading and outlining the eyes, which I did off camera because I didn't want to film it, I go in with a nice light pink for her lips. Many layers of that later, and I'm on to painting in her eyebrows. Now gluing on her hair, I'm going with shorter wefts this time because that's what the yarn allowed me to do, and I go around her scalp in spirals until it's all covered up. I didn't film the entirety of this, but I did film most of it, and I figured you've probably already seen it from other customizers and my other videos if you've watched them. After I got all those in place, I put the parting wefts on and wait for the glue to dry overnight before parting them and giving her a trim. I'll be making her a dress today out of felt. I thought it would be a pretty good material because I liked the texture of it for this project. Since she's a sugary themed doll, I go around the edges of the skirt and the sleeves and paint in brown to make it look like it was dipped in chocolate. After using a lot of paint on that, I wait for it to dry and sew it up, then go on to the top piece. I align the front and back pieces and sew them up at the shoulders. I didn't actually do anything that special to this specific piece, but it's going to be layered with stuff anyway, so it doesn't really matter. After both pieces are sewn together, I put the sleeves on after pinning them up. This was actually a mistake since it was impossible to flip it inside out because of the paint on the sleeves, so I ended up having to remove them, sew up the sides of the torso part, and then add the sleeves that way. Here it is once it's all put together. Then I sew it onto the skirt portion of it, right sides together, and flip back inside out, or right side out, and add some snaps and the actual dress portion of this is done. Now since this is felt and it has paint on it, the skirt is defying gravity, so I quickly put together a little petticoat so it doesn't look like that. I'm going to be making her an apron to go over her dress, just because I wanted something to make this a little less simple. I use a basic half circle for the part that goes over her dress, a small square to go over her torso, and just some rectangles for the straps to actually keep the apron on, and finally 2 half circles for her pockets. Once I got the basic shape done, I cut out this rectangle to make a big bow to go in the back of the apron. I sew a rectangle together like this pinched in the front. Then I sew on a strip of fabric in the middle to hide the seam. Then I cut out some rectangles and sew those on to be the little tails of the bow. Then I just sew it on to the strap that goes behind her waist. To add some decoration to the bow, I glue on this little donut I have right on the center of it. I decided to add some sprinkles onto the apron by just painting them on. This will prove to be a mistake later on, you'll see. I went with purple and pink sprinkles, purple to draw on the eyes and pink because it matches the rest of the outfit. I didn't want to introduce any more colors into the apron. I paint dip chocolate on the tails of the ribbon and also around the bottom of the apron. At first I was skeptical about how it would look, but in the end I ended up liking it and keeping it too. If the splotches of paint look messy here, that's because they are. Off camera, I went in with way more paint to define them more. When I put the apron on the doll, I didn't like how the sprinkles looked, at all. I took it back off and covered up all the sprinkles and one splotch of chocolate with white paint. The white turned out to be a bit brighter than the actual apron color, so it can probably just be passed off as powdered sugar or flour or something. I put on a few layers of paint before moving on to her shoes. I got these shoes in a large eBay purchase. I don't know who they previously belonged to. I paint over them white. After a few layers of white, I glue on these little charms. These shoes are pretty simple so that your eyes will look at her actual dress. And she's done. I decided to name her Bonnie. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See ya!